Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are on the air for another edition of, well, it's a simulcast. That's not the right word. It's a dual cast. Woo! We are starting off hot with a big ol' report, the big reports. And then we're going to have a little bit more wrestling. Then we're going to switch over to ComicCorp. So technically it's two shows in one tonight. Just mash it up. We told you. Wrestling Underground, it plays by no rules. It has no bedtime. It comes when it wants and goes when it wants. Like one of those delinquent children from the 90s. I'm your host, as always, Chad Porto. Joining me is the glorious one himself. Ooh, I just found spinach. Spinach. Anyway, joining me is Marcus Green, the glorious one himself. Marcus, how are you?
Good evening. I'm good. All good.
I'm glad you introduced the show this week like that because I figured out what we're doing for October. 1 second. I want to tweet this out real fast so that way we can spread the buzz, spread the love. Titans and more. We'll say the Joker. Joker gets top billing tonight too. I wouldn't want to trigger anyone. Although I guess technically I am triggering them. All right, so yes, a formal announcement for October. Marcus, how would you like to review, and I haven't figured out the ones I want yet, but I'm going to have some ideas for you just so you can kind of get the idea. How would you like to review kind of gothic horror cartoons for October?
Oh, wow. Out of my way, but hey, that's... It'll definitely be something interesting and a switch up.
Now, I think you've seen some of the ones that I have, at least on the docket. I'm sure you know who the Addams Family are.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they had
with the Crow be included in that?
Is it a cartoon?
If it was a series, yeah.
Yeah. If there's a cartoon Crow, yeah. Anything that's kind of macabre. So like Crow, gotcha. Beetlejuice the cartoon. Addams Family, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. I guess you could kind of argue Invader Zim because it does have kind of a macabre vibe to it, even though it's more sci-fi. And another one that I think you're going to like that's going to be on the suggestion bar that we can discuss, Street Sharks. We also have things like the Toxic Crusader. Yeah, Street Sharks. Toxic Crusader, Aerial Monsters, Creepy Crawlers. Like any the Mummies Alive cartoon.
Yes.
Like there's so many. See, Marcus, there's so many to pick from.
Now you're cooking with gas, not propane.
Well, what we might actually be able to do for October is maybe double up on some of these and kind of maybe I do themed within a themed like superhero gothic cartoons or like science fiction horror cartoons kind of thing, and like make like entire episodes and kind of like put everything else on the back burner. Like maybe just do like a Titans review every so often, or wait until the end of October to kind of do a Titans recap episode in November. Like there's so many to do, so just throwing it out there. Like we could even do like old Casper. There's like a young Dracula or what was it, Frankenstein or something like that. So like, there's a lot of opportunities out there for us to tackle that one. So that's the idea for October, but we still got MMA month that we're going hard into. But let's start today, Marcus, with big news. By the way, you can find me on my personal Twitter account at ChadNerdCorp, ChadNerdCorp, as well as on Instagram at Chad's Photo Hut, new my own stuff. Chadsphotohut. Marcus can be found on his personal Twitter account at ParadoxKid, ParadoxKid. If you want to follow the show, you can do so at Wrestling Under G on Twitter. I told Killer Cross to stay on Twitter. Cost about a concert ticket's worth of time to hire an attorney to review a contract. You're in your own situation, bud. And now I'm expecting him to come out of my closet at any moment to kill me. Because that's just how it is. So, yeah. The Wrestling Underground Twitter account gives 0 fucks and will take none in return. But the NerdCorp Twitter account is playing very nice with everyone. Well, almost everyone. So tonight, news kind of came out on Twitter that I found out was from WrestleTalk, which is pulling sources from a Reddit account. But they go into detail on this Reddit account, saying that the Reddit account has a history of viable and solid Impact news posts, thus confirming or at least alluding that it might be an insider with an Impact. So the general gist, and this actually falls in line with something Ed Nordholm said about acquiring Impact in the first place, was that they wanted to develop content and own content, which is why they're not going to sell Impact ever, because they don't have a lot of original content. Well, and we'll get to Anthem acquiring Access here in a few seconds, but with Impact acquiring the network, they've basically fired Marcus. You know, for those who don't know, Access had 3 big branches. They had Fight Night Fridays, which was basically just their LFA, Legion Fighting Association, I think is what it was called. They also had their Slam Saturdays, I think is what they were calling it, with New Japan and Women's Wrestling, and then most of the other nights were music-centric. Well, they fired everyone from the music side of things, and LFA no longer has a premier home with Access as of this Friday that they're going to be putting on their last event, meaning that music and MMA are no longer part of Access's future, at least not those specific incarnations. Now, Anthem does own the American broadcasting rights to Polish MMA company KSW, which is arguably Europe's biggest MMA promotion, and they put in 15,000 people for every big show. They're quite well known in Middle Europe. So they might just be angling to bring them from Fight Network to Access, and maybe they don't want any MMA competition there. I have no idea. But the music side of the things and the MMA side of things, those were what the 40 people who were let go from the Dallas office's prime responsibilities. Like that was a bulk of them were from the music and MMA side of things. And with every merger, there comes releases. I don't know why this is somehow a new shocking thing. I feel bad for everyone who lost their job, but this is what happens when companies get bought. Redundancies happen in it's corporate America. It's actually corporate Canada. So it's unfortunate, but it's not new. On top of that, the news broke today, late today, rumored, I should say, not news, but rumored news that Impact is talking to Sinclair about acquiring Ring of Honor. Now, to be specific, it's not Impact proper, it's Anthem is talking to Sinclair about buying the broadcast rights for Ring of Honor and the company as a whole. The situation with Sinclair and Ring of Honor has long been bad. Ever since the purchase, I think in 2011, 2009, somewhere in that area, the promotion's gone to hell. Sinclair, people want to complain about Impact and money, during the Dixie Years fair. But ever since Anthem acquired them, there's been no issues with money other than you have to wait until your episode airs to get paid for your work, which is just what they do. I don't know why. Ring of Honor, on the other hand, has been with a parent company that is billions of dollars in the black markets. Like Sinclair Broadcasting has more money than the WWE. Hear me when I say that. Sinclair is a bigger company than WWE. And every year they cut Ring of Honor's budget for no reason. Which is part of the reason why a lot of talent constantly leave. Jim Cornette, Adam Pearce, and a handful of others have told some real horror stories about their time in Ring of Honor. Now, Adam Pearce, not so much. He likes to be respectful, and he doesn't like to dog anyone, which is one of the reasons why I'm a big Scrap Iron fan. But Ring of Honor has issues, and they've had issues for a long time, and the fact that the mainstream wrestling media doesn't talk about it, not to be one of them mainstream media guys. I don't like all news is a little biased, let's just be honest. Not to be one of those guys, but to be fair, Marcus, you cover wrestling, you talk wrestling, you read about wrestling news. How often do you see Ring of Honor news?
Usually not until they got a big event coming up, like a pay-per-view.
Yep. You very rarely hear anything about spoilers from television shows. You very rarely hear about signings, any issues backstage. They had a show where longtime partners turned rivals Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly happened at Final Battle, and then again at Wrestle Kingdom 2 weeks later because Kyle O'Reilly quit the company. Barely got a blip on the radar. But that's Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor doesn't really have a lot of, wrestling mainstream eyes on it for some reason. They exist in their own subculture within the wrestling community, which I've always found very fascinating. But to say that they're in a healthy place, they're not. financially they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them, but Sinclair doesn't want them. Sinclair just acquired a bunch of Fox Sports regional networks, and I don't know what they intend on doing. Probably just doing what Fox is doing with their mainstream, their main Fox programming outlet, which is to acquire tertiary programming and the distribution rights to them, instead of just financing their own projects. Like that's what Fox is going to be doing on their local channels. They're going to be acquiring work from studios that are outside of the Fox umbrella and then airing them. Not everyone has their own studio. That's something that seems to be the case for Sinclair Broadcasting at this moment, which would mean that they would sell off the few locally owned products that they have, which is one being Ring of Honor. Now, I've always said that Sinclair doesn't want Ring of Honor, that they don't like Ring of Honor, and it's clear because they've never put money or time or effort into it. They're a billion-dollar organization. If they wanted to, they could have synchronized the Ring of Honor showcase, the Ring of Honor show on every network at the same time, because that's where they air predominantly, is on their own networks. So you could have just said across the board, to all 200 and whatever outlets, hey, Ring of Honor airs Friday at whatever, Saturday at whatever. That's the time it has to go on. There is no debate. And it would have been done. But instead, they allow the regional networks to determine when it airs, which causes a lot of the inconsistencies. Now, of course, you have the Honor Club, and it airs on Anthem, which is a little inconsistent when it airs. So if you have like Pluto TV, you can see like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago's episode, but you're not going to see anything recent. So there's some issues that have plagued Ring of Honor for a long time, consistency being one of them. The way they do television shows is another one, because they record everything in a bulk set in like a major, like they'll do like a weekend stint. Like they'll record all those shows, and then that's what they'll air for their TV shows. But they'll also kind of double down. It'll be like, like Supercard of Honor will have like a big pay-per-view event. And then the next night it'll be Supercard of Honor Part 2, and that's the TV tapings. So it's always been kind of weird how they do this. On top of that, the talent is gone. I think I could count on two hands all the talent that I think is worthwhile. Jeff Cobb, who has a New Japan contract. Kelly Klein, who's fantastic and would be a great addition to the Impacts division. You have Jay Lethal and Jonathan Gresham, which are just phenomenal talent. And Alex Shelley. I think I'm not forgetting any of them. Because when you look at some of the other guys, they're not that good. Their big signing last year was PCO, a 53-year-old.
Lunatic.
Yeah. Frankenstein monster. Like, this is who you are. Like, you've had Matt Taven as champion for 5 months, and he's only incurred a lot of disdain, and not like heel disdain. Like, if you put the IWGP heavyweight title on Jay White, people are still showing up to watch. They may boo the shit out of him, but they're still showing up to watch. Matt Taven has seemingly turned fans away as champion.
It's weird. It's like when they gave it's funny because the old mentor of mine from college said them putting the title on Daniels was giving him his Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yep.
And it's funny because and obviously this is a really over exaggerated champ, but the whole "you deserve it" thing. Matt Taven is one of those guys who's been there for a while, and has put the work in and stuff, and probably some will say he deserves it, but just because somebody may deserve something doesn't mean it's God, I can't believe I'm about to say this, best for business. And they probably should have pulled a trigger on Skrull in that ladder match.
Mm-hmm.
And they had the shot. Specifically, if it was always looming that he was just gonna probably win his contract, ended up going join his buddies anyway in AEW. So, yeah, it's interesting with that whole Taven thing because, yeah, it's like we kind of talk about all the time. Like nothing ever met up to or surpassed that first Lethal run.
Yep.
Since it happened, even his second run, for whatever reason, maybe that was just one of those perfect storm situations that you get in wrestling that rarely come along. But nothing. It's kind of either been like just middle of the road or a decline, unfortunately, with the champions that kind of follow. Well, that reigns anyway.
Yeah, like Adam Cole never lived up to the billing, and I know everyone in NXT is just whacking off over him. I never saw the hype. No one else ever saw the hype. all he does is shimmy his shoulders and go bye bye and throw really shitty sidekicks. Like it's whatever. Like if you're an Adam Cole fan, that's cool. You do you. No begrudging against you. Like who you like. If you like Matt Taven, that's cool. But I'm someone who's covered this industry for a long time. And I'm telling you, when talent has the it factor, there's no debate. No one's debating Sting was a top guy. No one's debating Stone Cold's a top guy. No one debates that Sami Callihan can be a top guy. But when you look at someone like Taven or Cole, there's debate. There's debate around Gargano. Yeah, it's the work rate era. But what that actually means isn't that work rate is the most appreciated. It means that it's most abundance. You don't need guys who can quote-unquote work, because everyone can work. Ethan Page posted a tweet. I don't know how to speak today. A tweet today to his account that I think was really, truly profound for today's era. It was the Charisma what was it? Charisma Barn or something to that effect. Like it was a play on the idea of people in wrestling today don't have any charisma. Johnny Gargano is about as charismatic as a stone at the bottom of the river that you can't see because it's irrelevant. That's Gargano's level. I think that's one of the reasons why it was so impressive what Tommaso Ciampa did, because he found charisma. So it's kind of one of those things that, you know, when you look forward, it's called the Charisma Plaza. And the tweet says, "Hurry guys, I heard there's a sale. I'm all stocked up, but figured I'd share with my friends in need." So...
And who was that, Adam Page?
That was Ethan Page. All ego, Ethan Page.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And he's got charisma out the wazoo.
Yeah, and it's even better now that he's with Josh Alexander, so yeah.
Charismaless Alexander. But see, here's the thing. A guy like Josh Alexander can work in a company like Impact because they're not bludgeoned with so many of the same types of workers. You got charisma factories like Rosemary and Ethan Page. You got guys and gals who can do both, like Tessa Blanchard and Sami Callihan. Then you got guys like Josh Alexander and maybe to a lesser extent Brian Cage, who aren't the most charismatic guys, but bring something to the table that's different than the rest of the roster.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're not wrong. I mean, look, Jordan Grace is she gets it done in the ring, and Rosemary can go as well. But I could watch 10 of those Rosemary segments, backstage segments, her Hive-esque segments, like for 10 weeks straight, never see her wrestle, and then, you know, not because I don't want to see her wrestle, but because she's that good with what she does. You know, meanwhile, you know, you got somebody like, let's see, who can't really get it done mic-wise on the...
Leave Alicia alone.
That's hilarious, but yes, and God knows is doing what he can. By the way, great spot that they did with Reno Scum, that beach spot.
I love that. Oh, that was so good. More Reno Scum now.
I hope they keep doing that. Just be hands for hire. We can't get them consistently wrestling on the show, but we can get them in those kind of spots.
I mean, I'd be fine with that. As long as they're getting paid, I'm sure they would be too. Wait, you want us to be on TV, but you don't want us to take bumps? Oh no, however shall we get by?
Just saying, but you know, now with the advent of LAX being gone, there's a spot that we've seen them kind of take an L to, you know, the North. So we'll see how that goes.
And I think that's another thing to consider with the Ring of Honor stuff is, what does this mean if it does happen? Because there's talks of it being integrated into Impact proper, talks of it being a secondary show a la the studio show that they recorded in California. There's been talks of doing a whole secondary brand tour. I don't know what the best way to go about it is, but I do know that if you're going to do a second show, a second brand, I'm fine with that idea. The problem is, how do you differentiate it from Impact? And I think one of the things you need to do is basically just reboot it, or not reboot it, but do what Terminator Salvation, is that what it's called? The new one that's getting terrible reviews? I forget what it's called. It looks terrible. Ugh. It's so bad, such a bad movie. But do what they did and be like, everything after 2009 didn't happen. Go back to the old belt. Start finding talent like Jonathan Gresham, who is probably the closest thing to Bryan Danielson you'll find in today's wrestling, besides Daniel Bryan himself, obviously. Go back to that idea of strong-style America and make that the core focus of the brand while you double down on the athleticism of the X division in Impact, so that way you have a differing style set division in both companies. I think that's the way to go. Go back to the black traditional ring. Go back to the old logos. Go back to the I don't know if "go back" is the right word, but bring in the New Japan style corners, where instead of it's 3 individual turnbuckles, it's 1 pad. Like, differentiate itself in all ways possible, and I think you'll really have something there. But until that's the idea, until that's the decision made, I don't know if Ring of Honor should exist as a secondary outlet. Just go Impact with Explosion.
It's weird because this was the same conversation that I'm sure us and everybody else was having about Impact not too long ago. Go back, what the freak? Go back to 6 sides. Why do you have a camera on the ref's head? This, that, and the third. It was a lot of stuff that, going back down that rabbit hole is not good for anybody's mental health. But yeah, that's some weird irony right there. But there's also some interesting irony in the fact that you got Jay Lethal, who has a lot of unfinished business in terms of evolving and coming back to Impact. Shelley as well. But you look at ROH, like, they got a lot of stuff to get together, because you got to look and remember that they kind of misused talents like Cedric Alexander, ACH, and Moose. And I would put ACH third on that particular list.
I would put Moose third, because Moose, I don't think they quote-unquote misused so much as he saw the writing on the wall. Because when he left, he was still pretty much a greenhorn. He had only had like 2 years of training or 2 years of experience at that time before he went to Impact. Definitely Cedric Alexander, but I would say even before Cedric and ACH, and it seems pretty interesting that we're all kind of referencing the same color, but then you also have Caprice Coleman. Are you telling me that Caprice Coleman wasn't charismatic enough to be a star in your promotion? I would think you're fucking lying then. Because he's fantastic. I don't think there's anyone in the world that watches a Caprice Coleman fucking interview or segment or hears him on commentary and go, he can't talk. If you don't think he can talk, then you don't think Yao Ming's tall. Because Caprice Coleman's good, man. He's so good. So, roundabout, Caprice Coleman, Jay Lethal, Alex Shelley, Jeffrey Cobb, Kelly Klein. Who else am I forgetting? I know I'm forgetting someone. Alex Shelley, Caprice Coleman, Jeffrey Cobb, Kelly Klein, Jay Lethal, Jonathan Gresham. God damn, I'm forgetting someone else now. There's like 7 or 8 names from Ring of Honor that I would bring over to Impact proper. Because you look at Shelley, Cobb, and Jay Lethal alone, that so solidifies your main event division. Like those names alone. You could have Caprice Coleman take over on commentary or become a tag team wrestler with someone that you feel wants to get over. Kelly Klein would be instant feud of the year with Tessa Blanchard. Like those two, oh my God, Marcus. Oh, my heart. There's some talent. And I think they just signed, who did they just sign? There's a woman they just signed.
Yeah, I forgot. She was a backstage interviewer.
No. I'm thinking of Sessions Martinez they just signed, which I'm sure sat well with David Starr so much. She just signed with the Ring of Honor's women's divisions. Who else? Is a backstage interviewer signed with Ring of Honor too?
No, somebody with Impact.
I saw Mackenzie Mitchell sign with WWE.
No, this was somebody that I forgot. Where did I see this earlier today? You can keep talking. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up.
Okay. Well, so I think when we continue on the conversation, I'm going to be writing an article about this for the site tonight. It'll be up tomorrow morning. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Ring of Honor proper going forward. There are teams and wrestlers on this brand I don't have any interest in seeing, and honestly, I don't really want to see a Ring of Honor-centric second show. Unless you want to bring in the Ring of Honor Championship as a mid-card title, which I would be fine for as long as it's the original belt, or at least, a mock-up of it. I don't see any reason to keep the brand around. It's got terrible name value. It doesn't have any mainstream wrestling identity. Fans of the mainstream have turned against it, and if it wasn't for the Ring of Honor fan base being so... Most of them are brand loyalists. None of them are new. If it wasn't for that brand loyalty over the course of the last 12 years when it was still good, they would have been out of business a long time ago. The Elite kept them alive. The Elite brought in major focus and made them a hot property, and the lack of negative news helped contribute to that. But there's always been shenaniganry in the backstage Ring of Honor that can't be denied. And unfortunately, if this sale does go through, more jobs are going to be lost, more people are going to be out of work. But it also provides opportunity for a replacement. And AEW is looking to sign a bunch of people, and they got ties to all these guys. Marty Scurll, who I would love an Impact, would obviously go to AEW if the sale is made today. I don't know what happens to Matt Taven. He might be leaving anyway, so who knows? Maybe the best thing to do is to keep it as a secondary brand and allow it to tour as its own entity and keep it separate of Impact. I'm just thinking that's a bleeding heart liberal, and I don't want to see people lose their jobs. But the best thing for Impact is to bring over the best parts and say fuck the rest.
Speaking of fuck the rest, the Bully Ray doesn't come with that package.
No,
that's the whole damn thing.
In any purchase, Bully Ray is fired. Bully Ray is fired. Bully Ray is laughed at. Him and Delirious can pack their bags. They can take the allure with them. They can get gone. They have those 5 people. Well, I don't know. I kind of want to bring Angelina back to Impact. She's got legacy. But like the 4 others, they have nothing to offer. Mandy Leon is terrible in the ring. Velvet Sky's always been terrible in the ring. They can fuck off. They can fuck off to Never Never Land.
Yeah, the beautiful people have no. You just don't have. They're not needed anymore. That thing to me in Impact is dead. The beautiful people are just not gonna work.
What if you were to redefine the beautiful people with Angelina Love at the head and 2 new knockouts, or like Angelina Love and Taryn Terrell?
Yeah, well, can she come to Canada? Do we know?
I don't know.
Yeah, just oh god.
Yeah, I don't know how Canada's laws work.
Yeah, it's and this is not trying to take any type of shot at Angelina because I don't think she is, but said beautiful people. I was thinking about like people that could fit from the Impact roster now, and I was thinking about Kiera Hogan, but would Kiera be on brand for the beautiful people?
Well, I don't want to say no, because the idea is that the beautiful people have never allowed non-whites into their programming. But to be fair, that's not essentially something that's been proven. Kiera Hogan was one of the first few names I thought of, actually. Yeah. I think she's got the right attitude, the right demeanor, and plus you have Madison Rayne on brand, which, let's be honest, Madison Rayne, beautiful people, I was never really accurate. But Angelina Love and Madison Rayne have kind of a reputation in the beautiful people stable, or throughout the years. I don't think they've ever actually served. I think they did for like a hot minute. Back in the end of 2009, I think she was part of the brand, part of the stable, before Angelina had her visa issues and had to leave Impact for a few months. So if Kira, Madison, and Angelina Love would be perfect for a Beautiful People revival, but wouldn't be the most accurate name. I'm sorry, Madison Rayne, she's not attractive to me at all. But you also got to wonder, I think Angelina Love's closer to 40, and I don't know how she's doing physically. I know Velvet Sky really can't take bumps anymore, and Angelina Love did a lot more bumping than Sky ever did, so who knows. And, with the rumors of Davey Richards about to return to pro wrestling, and I'm sure there's interest from Impact to bring him back, how would be bringing Angelina Love affect that? Because they had like an 8-month marriage that I'm sure did not end well, because marriages that don't last like 50 years usually end badly. I'm sure these two do not have good feelings for one another. Like, that's part of the here's how cynical I am. As soon as I heard the announcement, I just went, huh. So this is how they're going to keep Jordan in Impact. They're going to buy out her fiance's contract and bring him in. They're doing it all over the place, man.
They'd be coupled up because now Daga's there.
Right, Daga's there. You got the Edwards. You had Johnny and Taya before Johnny bolted. Brian Cage and Melissa Santos are getting married again, apparently. Like, there's a lot of couples.
Like, how many damn times did he propose to her? Now, don't get me wrong. I'd married a woman multiple times.
Right, just make it a Sunday reoccurrence.
But the gag is getting a look. I'm like, didn't he propose to her on an independent show?
Yep.
And then I'm like, did you ever just do it in like how you supposed to do, or how it's traditionally done? Let me say that, because it's just like, I hope this isn't a running gag, because it's like, oh, okay, we get it. You're banging her. You have a kid now. It's like, let's not do that.
So, There's something wrong with the audio. Oh well. We're recording it, so yeah. This is an unfortunate issue that we've been having with Restream as of late. I have no idea why. Let's just read it. Sorry for the audio issues. We'll let you know when the podcast is up. We'll let you know when we post the podcast. All right, so that's disappointing. Oh well. Anyway, so Marcus, did you find out who Impact brought in?
Not yet.
Okay. So, long and skinny of it, we'll see what happens with this Ring of Honor purchase if it happens. It's gonna be a big to-do.
Oh god damn! As soon as you said that, I scrolled down and found the thing. That's hilarious.
Who is it?
Her name is Gabby Lauren.
No thumbs up. No thumbs up. Thumbs up! No.
Nice work, Bone Daddy.